Hi, everybody. Hi. I hope everybody's having a good Monday. And it's September 30th, 2013. And this is the last kind of official talk about blog um, for this blog. Today I end. And I'm going to talk about the measuring your success with boundaries, the 11 steps that will be happening when you do it. And then I'm going to take boundaries, the book, to an end. I hope you're bought it or you're reading it if you need it. It's helping you get some of your boundaries together, and you're using it as a guide to help you and, to make life better for you. As you can see, I've got my old hair back. I took my braids out, and so looks like my hair's grown a lot, so I got a lot more hair, and I'm really excited about messing around with the hair stuff, but I didn't really do that today. Um, well, let's get started. Step one, resentment, our early warning sign. Um, One of the first signs that you're beginning to develop boundaries is a sense of resentment, frustration, anger at the subtle and not so subtle violations in your life. Just as radar signals are approached to foreign missile, your anger can alert you to boundary violations. Do not be afraid of your anger. When you're a person that hasn't had boundaries, you've suppressed a lot of anger. And now is the time for you to start feeling some of that and knowing that somebody's violating my boundaries. I am always very hesitant and really weirded out by people who don't get angry. That means that they're emotionally repressed. Um, Anger is a legitimate emotion, and feeling anger, it for boundaries, it means that your boundaries have been violated. That's a good thing. People that don't get angry don't even know that their boundaries have been violated, and they're usually boundaryless people. And stuff. So I'm not saying you get angry every minute of the day, and you certainly don't stay angry. That's immaturity. But you get angry, and then it's time for you to move and do other things. And like I say, you don't get angry every 2 seconds. That's not what you do. You need balance and stuff. Sometimes we're happy, sometimes we're angry, sometimes we're sad, sometimes we're confused. That's human balance. But you need to have some anger and feel some resentment toward whoever is doing whatever to you. Our inability to get angry generally is a sign that we are afraid of separateness that comes with telling the truth. We fear that saying the truth about our unhappiness with someone will damage their relationship. But when we acknowledge the truth is always our friend, we often give ourselves permission to be angry. So before you say anything confrontive, even before you set that first boundary, examine your heart. Ask yourself, do I have permission to feel angry when I'm controlled by others? Am I aware I'm being violated? Can I hear my early warning sign? If you're on the right track, you can. If not, this is the time to work on finding a safer place for you to tell the truth. Step two, a change of taste. Becoming drawn to boundary lovers. All of a sudden, you're going to be looking for people who are also boundary people, people that honor your boundaries. It's going to become uncomfortable to be around boundaryless people, not just for you, but you don't want to violate their boundaries and stuff. You start to not want to violate other people's boundaries because for the thing about boundaryless people is they also violate boundaries and stuff because they don't even know they're supposed to have any and stuff. So, you don't want to be controlling other people. You don't want people to control you. So you start looking for people, groups of people, people that you feel safe around where your boundaries are honored. That's a good thing. Step three, joining the family. It's we want to fellowship with other people that are having boundary boundary minded people as we find our taste changing for boundary muddled relationships to more clearly define people. We begin developing close and meaningful connections with people who have clear boundaries. We begin either growing in boundaries in our present relationships or finding new attachments in which to invest, or both. This is a crucial stage of boundary development. Number four, step four, treasuring our treasures. After you feel safe around people who believe that grace and truth are good, your values will start to change. You will begin to see that taking responsibility for yourself is healthy, and you will begin to understand that taking responsibility for other adults is actually destructive. Remember, you're on your way now and stuff. You need to drop those peoples. You need to make a list of your treasures, your time, money, feelings, and beliefs. How do you want others to treat them? And how do you want others not to treat them? It's a best way for you to start thinking about making your boundaries. But now you'll want to keep some of that stuff safe. You won't be giving away your time so leisurely. You won't be giving away your money every time somebody asks for it. You won't be rescuing irresponsible people. You won't be taking responsibility for people with other stuff that they got going on. You'll stop doing that and stuff, and you'll start treasuring essentially what is yours. You'll start having separateness from you. You'll start, not thinking that you're attached to whatever you do or say is, you're attached to other people, because you're not. Practicing baby knows, and that's a big one. You know, you have to get ready to start saying baby no's to people and stuff, and usually in safe areas. Or you may say no's to people that you haven't ever said no to and stuff. And you'll be practicing those no's, you'll first do it with people who will honor and love you after you do your baby no's. Those are baby no's. People that won't be jumping on you. It'll be scary for you when you first do it, and you won't want to do it, but you have to get through this step to start making clear, defined boundaries with people and stuff. Remember what I say, boundaries aren't walls, they're fences. So you let good things in and bad things out. And the more you start doing that, the more you'll be able to say yes to stuff you really do want to do. Stuff that you love and stuff. And then you say no to stuff that you don't want to do. And it's really easy. Step six, rejoicing in the guilty feelings. I know that sounds really weird. You know, you can imagine the havoc when the struggler actually sets a limit or two, even a small one. The conscience moves into overdrive as its unrealistic demands are being disobeyed. This rebellion against honest boundaries is a threat to the parental control of your conscience. It attacks the soul with vigor, hoping to beat the person into submitting again to its untruthful do's and don'ts. In a funny way, then activating the hostile conscience is a sign of spiritual growth. You feeling guilty is a sign of spiritual growth here, a signal that you may be protesting unbiblical restraints. If the conscience were silent and providing no, how could you, guilt-inducing messages, it might mean that you are remaining enslaved to the internal parent. That's why we encourage you to rejoice in guilt. It means you're moving ahead. Step 7, practicing grown up no's. Boundary setting is a large part of maturing. We can't really love until we have boundaries. Otherwise, we love out of compliance or guilt. And we can't really be productive at work without boundaries. Otherwise, we're so busy following others' agendas that we're double minded and unstable. The goal is to have a character structure that has boundaries and that can set limits on self and others at the appropriate times. Having internal boundaries results in having boundaries in the world. Developing a well-defined, honest, and goal-oriented character structure produces this step. By the time those frightening major no's have been prepared for over time with lots of work and practice, because you have to, when you're getting ready to say big no's, especially people you've never said no to, you got to practice that. You have to practice that in a support group. You got to do some, little, practice sessions with people. You got to maybe have a little script together and all this stuff. And then, some support after it happens. It's going to be a really big thing. Sometimes a large no will precipitate a crisis. So something will happen and then you'll have to say no. Someone important to you will be angry or hurt or abusive. The truth will expose the divisions in relationships. The conflicts and disagreements already exist. Boundaries simply bring them out to the surface. So you already had issues with this person in the first place. Setting boundaries just now lets you clearly know, okay, yeah, we really got some issues here and stuff. Prayerfully make a list of your significant relationships. Now add to what significant treasures are being violated in these relationships. What significant boundaries need to be set to protect these treasures. Step 8, rejoicing in the absence of guilty feelings. And essentially what that means is at some point you're going to start saying no and you're not going to feel bad about it. You're going to feel okay. You won't even need anybody's approval. Step 6 involve understanding that your first steps in a boundaried existence will most likely be met by harsh resistance of an overreacted and weak conscience. With consistent work and good support, however, the guilt diminishes. We become more able to keep hold of the deep truths of the faith with a clear conscience. You can take this step now that you have shifted allegiance spiritually and emotionally. You have changed from listening to your internal parent to responding to the biblical values of love, responsibility, and forgiveness. And these values have been internalized in the heart by many relational experiences with people who understand these values. The heart has somewhere to go for self-evaluation. For self-evaluation besides the critical conscious. The heart rests in the emotional memories of loving, truthful people. And you're going to stop feeling guilty about telling people no and making boundaries with people, no matter what they do, no matter what they say. Because the thing is, you have to remember, although you may change, these people will be the same. They won't change. All that will happen is you will be setting boundaries. And once again, whatever they feel, whatever they got going on, doesn't have anything to do with you. All that matters is that you set boundaries for yourself. Clear, definable boundaries. Step 9, loving the boundaries of others. At this point, loving others' boundaries confronts our selfishness and omnipotence. When we are concerned about protecting the treasures of others, we work against the self-centeredness that is part of our fallen nature. We become more other-centered. Loving others' boundaries increases our capacity to care about others. It isn't difficult to love the agreeable aspects of others, okay? It's another story, however, when we encounter another's resistance, confrontation, and separateness, we may find ourselves in conflict or not getting something we want from the other. When we love and respect the boundaries of others, we accomplish two things. First, we generally care for another person because we gain nothing by helping someone by helping someone tell us no. It just helps him or her deprive us better. The second advantage in loving others' boundaries is that it teaches us empathy. It shows us that we need to treat others as we would like to be treated. The entire law is summed up in a single command: love your neighbor as yourself. We should fight for the no of others just as we fight for our own no, even if it costs us something. And you need to remember that. Being okay with other people's boundaries. Even sometimes if you're angry and things, that's really not their problem. That's your problem. Remember that. Even if somebody tells you no and you get angry or you get upset and stuff, it's really not their issue. And you shouldn't make it their issue. You should be okay with that. Yeah, you may be angry, but you know what? You'll get over it and you'll be okay. Also, after a while, you'll be okay with other people's no. It won't be such a devastation when people tell you no and stuff. You'll be okay and be able to handle it better. Step 10, freeing our no and our yes. Ah, okay. Freeing our no and our yes. Think for a second about the last time you were asked for something from someone. Perhaps it was some of your time that you weren't sure you had to give. Suppose the person asking is not selfish, manipulative, or controlling. Reasonable people can make reasonable requests sometimes. So you were asked for something and you weren't sure you had left or to give. You weren't sure you could do it with a cheerful heart. What happened next is what this particular boundary yardstick is all about. You probably did one or two things. Since you weren't sure, you said yes. Since you weren't sure, you said no. Which is more mature? In most cases, the second. Why? Because it is more responsible to give out of our resources than to promise that which we might not be able to give. Jesus said that we are to calculate the cost of our endeavors. So even if sometimes, as I said before, there are real needs, sometimes if you're not really sure you can give those, it's best for you to just say no. But boundary injured individuals make promises and then do one or two things. They resentfully make good, or they fail on the promise. Boundary developed people, however, make good freely and gladly, or they don't promise at all. Following up on a guilt-ridden or compliant responsibilities can be quite costly, painful, and inconvenient. The lesson you need to learn is not to promise too much before you have done your spiritual and emotional calculation. Step 11. You get mature boundaries, value-driven goal setting. Individuals with mature boundaries aren't frantic, in a hurry, or out of control. They have a direction in their lives, a steady movement towards their personal goals. They plan ahead. The reward for their wise boundaries is the joy of desires fulfilled in life, their investments in the years. God has given payoff for them. It's not like Paul. It's a lot like Paul reflected at the end of his life. The time has come for my departure. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. But does life interrupt the process of a person with mature boundaries? Won't there be trials, complications, and people wanting me on their track and not God's? Absolutely. The days truly are evil. There will be all sorts of resistances to our boundaries and goals. But the person with mature limits understands, makes room for it, and allows for that. He or she knows that. Should it be needed, a no is waiting inside the heart, ready to use, not for an attack, not to punish another, but to protect and develop the time, talents, and treasures that God has allocated to us during the 10 years, and 3 score and 10 years on this planet. Essentially, this was for 40 years. I love this book, and I'm going to tell you why. Because it's helped strengthen my boundaries and stuff. Like I said, I thought I had pretty good ones, but even this book has helped me strengthen it and even helped me see even more how I need to honor other people's boundaries and stuff. Things that are certainly things we can all do better at. But it's also, as I said, told me what a good thing it was that I had boundaries. And if I didn't have boundaries, one of the things that I wouldn't have ever left my marriage. If I didn't have boundaries, I wouldn't be able to have a successful marriage. Now, if I didn't have boundaries, I wouldn't have a close relationship with my friends. I wouldn't have a close relationship with my family. My family has a close relationship because we have boundaries. No matter what other people do, no matter whether I like it or not, or anything else, that's not my business. I have boundaries. As adults, everybody can make their own decisions, and stuff. They're all, mostly, adult people or adult people with their own kids or whatever and stuff. But within my immediate family, there are adult people and stuff. We don't have conflict. I love my mom and we get along. We get along because we have boundaries. We love each other because we have boundaries. We have a close relationship and we have boundaries. Good neighbors, good fences make good neighbors. It's just true. And people always wonder, well, I have such a hard time with my mom or my brothers or my sisters and all this stuff. Usually because people have boundaryless, controlling families. That's why people always seem to have some sort of issue with their family, or they're always fighting, or they're always in some sort of conflict. That's what happens. Other adults don't really want to be controlled, but people will let you control them, and then they will resent it and then do things passive aggressively to show their disapproval instead of being direct. I'm not passive aggressive. I'm directing what I need and what I want. I'm directing my no and I'm directing my yes and stuff. And I'm happy that I have boundaries. It makes for a nice, peaceful, wonderful life. Um, it makes that I can do stuff that I want to do and not stuff that is just stuff, I'm just doing out of guilt, and stuff. My mom's been down because she had knee surgery and she's been down for a little while. She's recovering now. The knee surgery went great and everything's been awesome. And I've been taking, between me and my brothers, we go over, we take care of her. Now she can stay on her own and stuff, but I go over about once a week or so and I see her, take her to the store and all this stuff because she can't really drive that far. And doing all that stuff. Now, I don't have to do that. But you know what? I'm more than happy to help my mom. I can give her my yes freely. And I can enjoy that time with her when I'm taking her wherever I'm taking her, doing whatever we're doing. And we can enjoy each other and talk and have fun and laugh and all that sorts of stuff, you know. And there are times, yes, that my mother can frustrate me, and my brothers can frustrate me, and my husband can frustrate me, and my friends can frustrate me and stuff. But you know what? I let people know. I'm always very direct. You know, that frustrated me, or I don't like that, or you know what, that's not okay, or I'm not doing that, you know, and stuff. And I don't have to be running and ducking or, you know, or hiding. You know, sometimes I ignore people because, you know, that's just what I do, but it don't really bother me, you know, and stuff. I don't have to, I'm certainly not running away from folks. That's for sure. And, you know, and if people want to know, well, why didn't you do it? Because I didn't want to do it. And that's just kind of how I work. Um, I'm happy to have this sort of life. Boundaries have served me well all my life. Okay, served me well. And when I let those boundaries go, when I got soft and mushy on those boundaries, when I let some, you know, when I let people violate my boundaries, that's when it came back to bite me in the behind. And that's when I've learned a good lesson about, you know what, I can't let these down. I have to keep my boundaries here, you know, and stuff. I can't let people do things to me, you know, and stuff and violate my boundaries. It's not okay. I can't do that. And it's never worked. And right now I'm going to be strengthening them up even more. My hope is that you enjoy the boundary lesson, that it helped you. You know, if you had boundaries, that they got stronger. If you didn't have boundaries, you figured out what they were, and you're on your way to getting some, to having the life, the healthy, wonderful life that that you want, and you being able to say no when you want to, and say yes when you want to, and live a wonderful, happy life, you know, and stuff. Yeah, it's not always going to be easy. And yeah, it's true. People are going to be really pissed at you sometimes when you say no. But you know, that's not your problem. That don't have nothing to do with you. You need to do what it is that you need to do for you. And stop putting yourself out there and letting people make or do or say anything to you. And then your boundaries have been violated. You know, you're feeling bad, you're mad, you're secretly resentful, you know, and stuff, instead of just saying what you need to say right from the jump. It's so much easier. Trust and believe. I'm a witness. It's so much easier to just tell people no than to hold this secret resentment in your heart because you did something out of guilt or to try to be compliant. Let it go. Let it, whatever happened, you're going to have to figure out how to let it go. You're never going to get back the things that people owe you. It's never going to happen. And you will keep yourself in dead and destructive, horrible relationships trying to punish other people for what they did to you. And really, the only person you will be punishing is you. I don't hold nothing over nobody's head. I keep it moving. Either I let you go or you know my boundaries. It's one or the other. It's nothing in between. And trying to punish people for what you think they did to you or what they actually did to you is only going to punish you. It's only going to keep you in misery. I see too many people in those sorts of relationships, or the guilt relationship where they feel guilty, you know, where they've been guilted, you know, when they're that false emotion of guilt, you know, keeping them bound and in bondage. I'm finna be free. Okay. I live my life free. You know, free to do what it is that God needs for me to do and not be bound by a bunch of craziness. I live my life free. You know, I'm okay with the emotions that I feel. You know, I don't feel guilty about those. If my boundaries have been violated, I get angry. Now I don't stay angry, but I get angry. You know, And when I can do something to help somebody I really love that I want to do, I'm happy and I'm joyous. I get to feel what it is that I want to feel. I get to feel it. I don't have to suppress it. I don't have to try to not feel it or not say it, because other people, well, so and so might feel bad if I'm too not my problem. I get to live a full life with boundaries. I get to have good relationships because I have boundaries. It works. There's a workbook to this book also. So if you want to get the book, and there's also a workbook that you can work through, I recommend that you do that. I'm going to put up at some point a blog that has all of the series in it. Probably not today, but the series in it and stuff. And again, I don't know. I may not put up nothing at all. You just have to figure out how to find it yourself. So if I don't feel like that's worthy of my time, I won't do it. But I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you learned a lot. And I hope you use this in your life, and then become a real witness to how wonderful it is and how well it works and stuff. So I'll talk to you all later. Bye bye.